My colleague Ali Shirazi is here in the studio with us. Ali, the details that have been published about the tunnels beneath the leadership office shows that they have continued under many residential areas and commercial centers. Now, we really don't know how extensive they are, but the map that the Israelis published has a lot of details and makes it very clear. Well, in recent days, we have had a lot of news that military forces and suppression forces are using public places like stadiums, schools and hospitals to hide their troops, equipment and facilities there because they know that the US and Israel will not actually target these areas. Now, it's interesting to note that I was talking with a friend in Iran who lives in a residential complex. He says that missile launchers have been brought next to these residential complexes and stationed there so that the US and Israel do not target them. Well, now this map published by the Israeli army indicates that Ali Khamenei created a shelter beneath the leadership office to protect his own life and the lives of his family members. This shelter was actually protected by a human shield on the ground, meaning that not only did the shelter itself has the necessary fortifications, but also on the ground it was positioned in such a way that if they wanted to target it, ordinary people would surely be killed. If you remember, during the 12-day war, one of the complaints from the Iranian people about Netanyahu was, "Why didn't you kill Khamenei?" Now, with the specifications they provided, it has become clear that Israel did not want ordinary people to be harmed in the attack. That was why they refrained from killing Khamenei. Let's take a look at the map. For example, if we have the first point on the screen, we see that the leadership office is in the middle. The shelter was beneath the leadership office, so this is Khamenei's office and beneath it was his shelter. The first tunnel that comes out of this office is at the intersection of Azerbaijan and Palestine Street, right beneath the Jami multi-story parking lot and next to the Saheb Ol Zaman Boys School. So if they had struck, the people who were coming and going, parking their cars and the children in the school could have all been harmed. If we look at the second point, the second tunnel is also at the intersection of Vali Asr and Azerbaijan streets, which is actually located above the Jami car park. You know, multi-story car parks in Iran have a lot of traffic since they are in the city centre. People come to park their cars there and go about their business. In the third point, if we pay attention, the third point of these tunnels is on Pasteur Street, next to Javid Street, right next to the Shuride Medical Complex. This is where injured patients go to find peace and get treatment, yet Ali Khamenei has placed one of his shelter tunnels beneath this medical complex. The fourth point actually leads to 12 Farvardin Street at the end of Rajavi Street, which is next to the vaccination centre. As you know, both adults go there for vaccination for COVID, influenza and such like, and newborns are also usually taken to these vaccination centres for immunisation. And one of the tunnels was actually right here. In the fifth point, we have another multi-story car park at the intersection of Jomhuri Street and 12 Farvardin Street, the 12 Farvardin car park. Note that these multi-story car parks are not only tall, but can also accommodate many cars, and the traffic is hard to control as cars come in and out throughout the day. The sixth point is located at the bottom of Pasteur Square on the western side of the square, right across from 12 Farvardin Hospital and next to the 29 Farvardin 24-hour pharmacy. You can see that all these points have a lot of ordinary people coming and going, either as patients or going to pick up their medications. The seventh point, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting aspects of this map. The seventh point was on Pasteur Street next to the mosque, meaning one of these tunnels goes under the mosque, and next to this mosque there is also a boys' school. But it seems that these tunnels were escape tunnels, meaning that if something happened, they could exit through these tunnels. They were both entrances and exits. So if, for example, something were to happen while officials were on the street, they could enter these tunnels, and of course, they were also emergency exits. It is possible that on the night of the attack, some leaders entered that area through these tunnels. Indeed, Israel even announced that when they targeted the tunnel, some government leaders were in this shelter. The 8th point is on Pasteur Street at the corner of Ajide Mosque, which we saw earlier, and at the end of Kashani Street, right across from a football field, and next to it is the Katrodai Boys Elementary School. So Ali Khamenei used children, patients and ordinary people who park their cars and go about their business as human shields to protect himself. But again, see the other side of the story. Israel and the US did not target this area as long as Ali Khamenei was in this shelter, even though they certainly knew he was there, but because there was a possibility of civilian casualties, they did not carry out the mission and waited until Khamenei was on the ground to target him. You mentioned this incident, and now this operational plan seems to resemble the pattern that perhaps Hamas was also using in Gaza to escape from Israeli forces. Both them and the Hezbollah in Lebanon. In fact, Hassan Nasrallah was in a similar shelter where they used bunker-busting bombs to kill him. However, I must say that Israel and the United States were not willing to drop bunker-busting bombs when Ali Khamenei was down there, because they anticipated that students would definitely be present in schools on the first day. Now that they have targeted him, it's because the streets are empty due to the war conditions, schools are closed and there is little movement of people. They targeted this area under conditions where they were sure no civilians would be harmed. But many are talking about the war plan, what the next step for the United States and Israel will be in this course. Do you think that this ongoing trend, where the war is intensifying, will lead the leaders of the Islamic Republic to realize that when all these mechanisms have somehow been exposed, this espionage system has advanced right under the nose of the Islamic Republic's commanders, will they consider ending it and laying down their arms? Look, today we witnessed the expression of two opinions. One was from Pezeshkian, who said our forces are firing recklessly, and one was from a military commander who said that, no, this was all completely intentional and according to our goals. This shows that the government is under the control of the Revolutionary Guards, and the Guards want the war to continue. Thank you, Alia Shirazi.